Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Matters That Matter. I'm Simran and I'm in a conversation with my mentor, Susie Singh. We lost a very young, promising star a few days ago to suicide, and that has hurt and deeply shocked the entire nation. And it has led people to ask some very important questions about their own mental health and our social structures. In the news, and a lot of news channels ran this narrative, Susie, that Sushant was being ostracized by the film industry, and that led him to feeling like an outcast, and it would probably have motivated his action. So, Susie, I want to ask you today, how does ostracism affect one's mental health?
So, ostracism is probably one of the worst forms of group bullying, and it has huge detrimental effects. When we look at some of the work of Professor Kipling Williams, who's a ostracism researcher from Purdue University, his findings clearly indicate that ostracism results in depression, immediate depression and loss of personal value. He created this game called the Cyberball, in which the participants were made to toss a ball back and forth with a computer with unknown players. It's all okay as long as the ball is being tossed back to them. But when that ball stops being tossed back to them, they found that universally across all participants, there was a sharp drop in their feelings of self-esteem, in feeling in control of themselves, and in the feeling of meaningful existence. Let's not forget that there is this cycle. It's not that it happens to you one day. It happens to us over a period of time. At first, when this blacklisting or ostracism happens, and mind you, it happens everywhere. It happens in schools when kids gang up against another one that they want to bully or they want to tease. It happens in workplaces, in corporates, where if you want to get rid of somebody, you will simply ostracize them because that's the safe way of just getting them to exit, making them feel so terrible about themselves. The fact is, nobody speaks about this. Nobody talks about this, but it's rampant. It's happening everywhere. Parents don't understand it when it happens to their children. They just think their child is weak and not strong enough. Adults don't understand it or even shy to talk about it because they think that everyone will think that they are imagining things, that no one could be treating them like that, but it is happening. So the important thing to understand is that you're going to go into this loop. The first thing that's going to happen is the rage about being ostracized. And let's understand that word is a composite of two feelings, anger and helplessness. So there is this feeling that I am so angry because it's unfair, right? And I still can't do anything about it because I am helpless in the circumstance. So that rage will eventually spiral into feelings of not valuing my own self, feeling really and truly unworthy. And they get amplified with every act of ostracism or every act of somebody ignoring you or not wanting to engage with you or talk to you, just like in the cyberball game, when that ball stops being tossed back in you and you have no way of speaking to the other participants because they're all in the realm of the unknown space in that computer. That's what gets you. You don't have closure. You don't understand. All you know is that people have shut you out of their lives and their worlds. And so the self-esteem plummets, and then you are going to get depressed. The depression is going to become worse with time. You're going to isolate yourself, and with the isolation will come the psychosis, the imagining things, the delusions, the hearing of voices, which some of the stories have been reporting was happening to Sushant. But it wasn't happening to him alone. It would happen to anybody going through those situations and those circumstances over an extended period of time. It is not unique to him. That's how the mind and the brain is designed to function. And it's just that we don't understand this. We don't know it, and which is why I'm putting it out there. If there is one thing that we really need to do to rescue our own selves if we are falling into this spiral, downward spiral of depression and needing to isolate ourselves. We have to remind ourselves, please do not isolate yourself. That's the biggest thing we can do for ourselves. Connect back, reach out, talk to people, because then you still have the possibility to take small baby steps and find your way back into life. Find your way back into building another life for yourself.
Like you said, Susie, it's very important to not isolate and reach out and ask for help. And yet, this is something that people are not able to do very easily. And there is a lot of judgment that is projected onto people who are not able to do it easily as well. If you ask for help, then there is obviously judgment and insensitive remarks that people receive. But if you're not able to, even then, these same people will judge you and saying, why didn't you reach out? So why is it that people have such strong resistance to reaching out or seeking help for themselves, even though they're struggling so much?
Well, I think you answered that question because of the fear of the judgment. And we were actually discussing this very same question in an NGO platform today that, I really want to ask for help, but I am so scared to ask for help. And can I just speak to anyone? Is it really that simple? And my answer is no, it is not simple. Yeah. It is not simple to overcome your own shame and your own inner resistance to start with. And secondly, you can't just speak to anybody because not anybody is capable of offering you that safe space. So yes, you will have to go through your entire list of friends and the people you know and the people that you may have even remote access to, and see who do you think has the degree of empathy, the degree of sensitivity, the degree of emotional intelligence to be able to offer you that space. Secondly, who deserves to hear your story? Your story is powerful. Your story of pain is sacred. Yeah. Not everybody deserves to hear your story. You can't bring anybody into your life if they're going to come and whack you or slap you or judge you. So you need to speak about your story with those people who will show up in your life in an honorable way, who know how to honor that space.
Yeah.
Only they deserve to hear your story. So yes, it is a selective process, but nonetheless, it needs to be done.
I think there are 3 points that are very important to note from whatever you said right now. The first is that it's very important to be selective about who you reach out to. Secondly, there has been this trend going on since this has happened in our country that everybody's posting about how they're open to listening to people if they reach out, because everybody has the intention to help. But I think it's very important to make sure for ourselves that we are capable enough or we have the emotional capacity to actually hear people if they decide to listen to you and reach out.
I think, Simran, that is a really important point that you have made, because just having the intention does not mean that I'm equipped to provide that safe space. So I could be the bridge. I know of people who are in this space and who have actually said that they become bridges or they become the connectors. They put them in touch with people who they know are equipped to handle that problem. So if you do have the intention to help, but you also know that these are sensitive things, we might think that we are good at something, but sometimes an emotionally volatile and an emotionally vulnerable person can be triggered with the most innocent of things. So keeping all of your best intentions in place, understand that if you find someone is really over the edge, maybe you need to actually just be the bridge and connect them to those who are equipped to manage sensitive cases. Thank you so much, Simran, for actually raising that. It's a really relevant point.
Yeah, and thirdly, like you said, it's very important to understand that what Sushant did, or even everybody who deals with these things, negative thoughts and feelings, it's very important to understand that these are our natural responses to certain stimuli that we are encountering in our lives. We are not crazy or oversensitive or all these mean labels that are given to people. So for all of those people who judge, it's important to understand that these are natural responses and that it was not just him who responded that way. Anybody in that situation would have responded the same way. If you find this video helpful, then please like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Thank you for watching, and we will see you soon.